comments of my previous videos asking me to run through the formation of diminished chords. That chord right there. Glad to do it because I read those comments, and if you have a question, then your turn is coming up next. So let's talk about these diminished chords. They are very, very, very popular, particularly in gospel music, and to I almost said a lesser extent, I don't know if that's true or not, in jazz as well. We just want that flavor of these diminished chords. Okay, so let's do a couple things. Let's figure out how to make a diminished chord, and then let's figure out where they're commonly used in songs. So a diminished chord is a stack of minor thirds, very symmetrical chord. So what's a minor third? And the commenter said he or she was a beginner. So I'm gonna keep this beginner friendly. So a minor third interval is, don't count this, 1, 2, 3. Don't count this, 1, 2, 3. Don't count this, 1, 2. Oh, don't count this, 1, 2, 3. So I end up with 4 notes that are stacked a minor third apart. And you check me because if I play this, I still have 4 notes a minor third apart. Just a different. If I play this, I still have 4 notes stacked a minor third apart. As a matter of fact, those are the 3 families. Emphasize that word families of diminished chord. Let's start on C. There's only 3 of them here. So get a piece of pencil and a piece of paper out. Write these 4 notes down. C, E flat, G flat, A. Got that? That's a family. They share same bathroom. They share the same living room. They live together, right? Glue those together in your mind's eye and in your fingers too. Now here's the next family. D flat, E, G, B flat. That's another family. They live across the street, down the block or whatever. Luckily, there's only 3 families. I'll show you why in a minute. So you got 2 families, and here's the third family. B, F, A flat, B. They're all stacks of minor thirds, every last one of them. Trust me. So just by way of review, here's family number 1, here's family number 2, and here's family number 3. Now, I don't want you to learn it this way. Just write these notes down, because I think there's a better way to learn it. But just write those notes down. Now, take this a family at a time, and let's start inverting. So let's take a C diminished. Let's put a C under it, man. Now we're gonna go up to another family member, but all we're gonna do is invert. We're gonna take that C, and we're gonna put it up here. And you notice, same notes, that's why it's a family, same notes, except for now we're gonna call it a D flat diminished. Now we're gonna take this E flat and put it up here. Same notes, now we're gonna have this. We're gonna have an F sharp diminished. Now we're gonna, you got me figured out. You're gonna take this F sharp and put it up here. And we're gonna end up with an A diminished. But you notice it's the same notes. These are all the same notes. That's why they belong to the same family. So So if I go back to this, I can call that a C diminished, right? I don't have to change a thing in my right hand, and I can call it an E flat diminished. I can call it an F sharp diminished, or I can call it an A diminished. So the point I'm making is that it's all the same chord. It depends on the context and it depends on the bass note you put up under it. And that's true for all of its inversions. Let's just walk through another inversion. Here's another inversion. So the first thing you want to do is get a family down pretty good. So let's invert. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. There's an exercise. There's an exercise. I'm gonna go down some more. Get that family down really well. All of the inversions. All over the. Now you don't have to go straight up. You can actually skip one. Let's say we went from here to here. As long as you have these 4 notes in some kind of order, you can go here. You can go here. So that's a family of diminished chords. So family number 2, we just walk up a half step, form that diminished chord. Same logic applies. That's a family, so they share. So first, glue those 4 notes together. Don't even think about them as separate. Right? Now let's learn those inversions. That's how you learn diminished chords, and then we're going to put it in some context in just a second. Now again, I can call that a flat diminished if I wanted to. All I'm saying is A flat up here doesn't have to be on the bottom. I can call that by any one of those 4 names. Call it a B diminished if I wanted to. So work the second family until you have that one in your mind and in your fingers fairly well, and then finally get to the this was the second family. Got ahead of myself there. That's the second family. So here's the first family. Here's the second family. Work that. Did I do those inversions? Yeah, I did. Yeah, my ear says I did. Okay, so now you got that second family. Not only, so you know that D flat, E, G, and B flat go together. Just put a sticky note on your desk, on your music stand, until you have glued those 4 notes together. Now it doesn't matter what inversion you play them in. Now, one more family. Only 3 of them. There's only 3 of them. Here's the third one. D, F, A flat, B. Same thing. It's the same thing. That's how you learn diminished chords. Now, when do you use diminished chords? Let me see. I gotta think about this because I want to keep it beginner friendly. A lot of times in gospel, you're going to the 4 chords. So we're in the key of C. Let's see if I can whip off a beginner. So C triad to the 4 chord. to a sharp 4 diminished to a 1 over 5. Let me play that again. 1 to the 4 chord. So that's a common old school gospel progression. So we actually went from a 4 chord, which is F, to a sharp 4 diminished, which is F sharp. But you notice I just used one of the inversions that's got an F sharp in it. Remember that family, that family goes together. And it drops down to a 1 over 5. We could crawl this diminished scale. So let's say we were working, let's say we're going C, D minor, E minor to F. So here's a kind of a rule for you. Anytime you're approaching, so C, D minor, E minor, F is just diatonic harmony. It's right inside the scale. Nothing is going on outside the C scale, in other words. But I can approach, I can get in the cracks, right? I can play this. Okay, let me slow that down. So I'm going from C to D minor, right? So I slipped in the cracks of diminished chord. Right, there it is. Now I'm playing this D minor chord. I can do it again because I know I'm heading for E minor, so I can slip into that crack and E flat to this E minor. So I am going to play that no rhythm until you catch this. 1, I'm going for a D minor. So I'm going boom. So in that crack, I'm going to play that diminished chord down there in my left. So hopefully you see what I'm doing. And all I'm doing is playing little triads in my right hand to keep it beginner friendly. You'll hear that on Nowhere to Touch You. Or something like that. So that's a good exercise to do to get those diminished chords under your fingers. Now you might have to think about it at first. You say, okay, now I'm going from C to D. What's in between? What's in the cracks? Well, D flat is. Well, let's put a diminished chord there. See? Now you got to think, well, what inversion of diminished chord? You could do this. That if you don't know your inversions that well, then that puts the D flat on the bottom, right? But you don't have to put the D flat on the bottom. As long as it's in the chords I play. Now I want a D minor chord. Now I want a E flat diminished. So if you need E flat on the bottom at first, go ahead and do it. You could do this. Now I'm gonna play an F chord because there's nothing in this crack, right? See, there's nothing in that crack, right? So I'm playing F chord. I'm playing F sharp diminished, and I'm gonna play a 1 over 5. Now I want to go to the 6th chord. I'm on 5. I'm on the G. I want to go to A, right? Well, there's something in that crack. You see how these diminished chords really add some flavor. Now I'm going from A to B. Going from A to B. So there is something in that crack. So I'm going to play A minor. I'm going to play a B flat diminished. Now I'm going to play this B. And I'm back to C again. Now there's no song that does all of that, but that's a good exercise to get these diminished chords under your fingers. Let me think of a song. Let me see. Okay, so I just made up some. So what did I do? I went from 1, do a ninth in, sorry, to a 4. I went to a sharp 4 diminished. And then I'm voice leading this a little bit. See, I was on 4, and voice leading only means you keep as many notes that you're already playing the same as possible, or if there are no notes the same, you get as close as possible. That's what voice leading is in a nutshell. So I just saved you 5 years of music school. So voice leading means if there are common notes to both chords, where you are and where you're going, you can maintain those notes. If there are not, you get as close as possible to that. So I'm trying to go from F to G. I see a crack there. So I'm going to play that F sharp diminished. But what inversion am I playing? I picked this one because look at those common notes. I got 2 common notes that didn't change at all. Now I'm on that C over G. Now I want to go from G to A. I see a crack. I'm going to fill that crack in with a little seasoning. So I need someone C. I'm going to play this. That's an A flat diminished. And now I'm on A minor. I can go back the other way if I want to. Diminished chords can go either way. Get the idea. Now, for those of you who are a little bit advanced, we can use diminished chords as substitute for 5 chords. What in the world do I mean by that? So let's say I'm playing a 2, and I voice that in that way. So I'm playing a D minor 9. I drop my thumb and I'm playing a G13. There's a 1 chord. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Let me do that again. Okay. Now, on that 5, on that G, I could use a diminished chord there. So I'm playing a 2. So the rule is, I know I want to go to this G, but in my right hand, I'm going up to a crack and playing a diminished chord. See that diminished chord there? That's why they're so handy to use in jazz gospel. That gives me that G7 flat 9 sound. So in my left hand, I just got a G, but I'm playing an A flat diminished in some kind of inversion. So that's some context examples for you as well. One other way that I'm going to tell you, at least for now, I don't want to overload my beautiful beginners. Anytime you see a minor chord, it can be preceded by a diminished chord, either a half step above it or a half step below it. So if I'm going from 1 to 2, go one, start one diminished, two. Or I can go I can get above that in a crack or below that in a crack. See, we call those passing chords. They're almost never written in the music or on the sheet. You just stick them in, and you stick them in wherever wherever your ear tells you. Um, Anytime, let's say I'm going from a 3 chord to a 6 chord, and I want to get to this. I want to go from E minor, and I'm trying to get to A minor. Well, what's the rule? I can approach A minor from a half step below with a diminished chord, like this. Now, rhythm is very important. Where whatever you're targeting is on the beat. This is crack. These are crack. Or I could have done a B flat diminished. Player choice. Player choice. That's true. Let's say if I'm doing I don't know, I'm going from an A minor and I'm trying to get to a G minor. Why? Because the G minor is setting up F's. 2, 5, 1. So I can go A minor, A flat. See, did you hear that diminished chord? There it is, setting up that G minor. 2, 5. And I could have done something with that 5 chord. I could have went here with another diminished chord. So, quick review. I've showed you how to find a diminished chord, how to form them, a good way to assimilate this information to get your head around it, and a little practice routine, and then a couple of contexts. If you still have questions about diminished chords, comment down below. Subscribe button, bell button. And I do read those, so I'll be glad to. Or if you have a different question around gospel, jazz, music, put that in the comments and I'll be glad to respond. Mike in Detroit, have yourself a great day. We'll talk to you soon.